see all three of us?
Oh, so.
Oh, no, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to CNA Weekend Recap. Justin, Josh, Ken coming to you as always from the Geek Cave. And tonight we have a couple of pretty badass season finales to talk about. We will start first with Marvel's She-Hulk, maybe the most divisive Disney Plus show I've seen so far.
Which makes no fucking sense, but okay.
I mean, it did get a little out there. You know, I can understand why some people didn't like it. But, you know, I think those are the people that didn't like She-Hulk to begin with anyway. You know, if you enjoyed the show and bought into the premise, I think you love this episode.
My guess is at least 85% of the people who dislike She-Hulk dislike it because of its anti-douchebag male message.
I mean, you're not wrong. You know, we get into it. You know, it's interesting.
That's what you ask. I mean, I don't like that show. Why? That's my question. Why? And the answer is always, because she attacks men. I'm like, is she attacking you?
No.
If she's attacking you, feel attacked, you're a douchebag.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those, like,
why would she take it personally? That's a fucking 8-foot green woman. I'm just saying.
Oh, but
if you feel personally seen, do something with that.
Yeah. That's kind of on you. Maybe some personal growth will do you.
Let's talk about this show. I enjoyed it. I have enjoyed this show. I thought it's clever. It's been a fucking blast. It's just been fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, She-Hulk, the whole series, has broken the fourth wall. But in this episode, she broke the MCU.
Yes.
She broke it indeed.
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. I think we need to talk into the build-up before we get that, though. You know?
Yeah, let's start with the entrance scene, the beginning scene of the show, being almost a shot-for-shot of the 1970s intro for The Incredible Hulk.
And that was just
beautiful.
Yeah, it was wonderful. You know, I didn't even think about that, but the fact that they did that in this episode was just perfect. It really was.
They even employed a massive dude to play green skin She-Hulk.
A la Lou Ferrigno.
That's right. So that was not CGI. It was a big-ass dude.
Yeah.
I just, once again, I'm just like, big eyes, like, watching this shit. Just
clever. Brought you back to when you were a kid and you watched The Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
You know, I lined up every time to watch that show.
Yes, sir.
And then from there, it just builds into a clusterfuck of storylines that leads Jen to look at the camera and be like, wait a minute, no. And then we get that moment where you're like, wait, what the hell just happened? Because we cut to the Disney Plus load screen.
I looked for the remote.
What did I hit?
Am I sitting on the remote? What the fuck?
And then she literally kicks out her own show title screen and climbs down.
Swings through Disney Plus, the Marvel Assembled. That's just good shit, y'all.
It is.
That's just good shit.
Where she has to fight a bunch of Disney guards to get to the mastermind of the MCU, Kevin.
Yes.
Did y'all see the design of the camera? It even had a ball cap.
Yeah, it did.
It was so good, man.
The playing with Kevin Feige and the direction and how he says that they're all perfect. He goes, all of them. He said, well, some are better than others.
Yes.
I was waiting for a Thor Love and Thunder joke there. I really felt like they should have poked fun at themselves. As badly received as that movie was.
I don't think they were going to pick out any specifically.
No, I will. Thor Love and Thunder, in case you missed that review.
But and the whole directing her to change back to Jennifer Walters off screen because they don't have the budget and animators have already moved on to the next show.
I mean, it's going to be hard for Deadpool to top that kind of fourth wall break.
Yeah, that was a big one. I mean,
he's going to have to go multiverse hopping. I mean,
I would not be surprised by that.
I have a feeling that's where we're going.
But and then I love that she sat down and Kevin is like, "Oh, you're sitting down now, okay."
I love my favorite part was when she said, "When are we getting the X-Men?" And then she looked at the camera. It's so good, man. So good.
I guess
Hulk smashes cities. She-Hulk smashes subplots, and sometimes Matt Murdock.
Right.
That was I was going to say. That was my favorite moment in
So good, man. Oh,
God. And and then she just pops back in, and everything she called is occurring around her, and I just love that.
Yeah.
It was so well done. Because they did call it. They're like, yeah, that's a perfect Marvel ending. Well, no, not for this show. We need our own version of the Marvel ending. And Daredevil apparently just hanging out in a tree somewhere.
Just dropping down.
It's kind of like when Spider-Man was shooting webs in the final battle. Like, what was he hooking on to?
So many people are mad about Matt Murdock in this show, especially in this being very cheeky, falling from the tree. And they're worried that this means we won't get a dark Daredevil series. I don't think that has any merit or any point. This is a silly show.
Mm-hmm.
He's silly in that. Lord of the Rings. Guardians of the Galaxy was silly as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So was Thor Ragnarok. Yet we had perfectly serious dark tones in Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah.
Just because he's silly here does not mean that they will step out. Hell, She-Hulk didn't break the fourth wall if she stepped outside of her comic book. If she's in other storylines, she doesn't break the fourth wall.
Two things. She literally said, Daredevil drops in, and motherfucker dropped in. And number two, I want to address something. The red and yellow suit, Daredevil's first appearance, he was red and yellow, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the people shitting on the Daredevil yellow and red costume, okay, this is how
so
it
clear
looks.
how few people have read comics these days.
Yeah, that's the problem, I think. That's the freaking problem. My favorite is arguing online with people and talking about X-Men continuity and all they've ever seen is the 92 X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
Anyways, so red and yellow Daredevil is okay, guys.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And in case you see it down the road, guys, I feel like we might. Brown and yellow is an acceptable Wolverine costume.
It is. That might be the first one we see.
I want it. That's the Yoshida clan color, son. That is okay. We just brought up Larry Hama. And that's like the best of Wolverine to come. I mean,
so we don't know. We'll see. Had a great ending, and was
let's talk about the guest appearance at the ending. We all kind of were hoping thinking when he flew off that we would get this ending. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it because this has also been kind of divisive online. Kind of shoehorned into the end, as Kevin said he had to do. We get Hulk show back up with his Sicarian son, Scar.
Right. I'm assuming, obviously they're going to change his origin.
And he looked funny.
He did. He looked like, those...
shaved.
Well, what he reminded me of, those female soccer players who have, like, the circle band, they pull the hair back entirely? That's what it looked like he was wearing to me. It was just like a hairband.
How hard would it have been just to give him that Conan the Barbarian look with the long hair flowing around?
Well, obviously he's going to have a different origin. They're going to switch it up.
Yeah,
he's got some kind of martial arts training or something. There's something they're doing something with that hairstyle. There's a reason for it.
Yeah. But that was just, I didn't expect that at all. That was just suddenly, what are we going to, okay.
That's kind of what I expected the moment the Sicarian ship dropped down at the beginning.
We talked about it in the show.
I think we did say we thought Scar might be coming.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool, but this is obviously a different Scar than we got in the comics.
Yeah.
Because he was a brutal son of a bitch with a giant sword in the comics. Yeah. So,
Conan the Barbarian looking motherfucker.
Yeah, we're going to get a very different version. And we've talked about he may take Hulkling's place in the Young Avengers.
I think he will.
And it would make sense if he did.
That's a good call.
I don't think we're far enough along in any kind of Skrull storyline to get Hulkling. So, yeah. So the other thing that happened, the little post-credit stinger, is that Wong shows up and permanently breaks Abomination out of prison this time. And they missed the opportunity to drop Shabladu as the Wi-Fi.
I love the fact that he remembers the password. But yes, they did make the reference to the Wi-Fi password from Doctor
Abomination
Strange.
will return in Thunderbolt.
So it's interesting though, but yeah, I'm kind of glad that they got Abomination back out in the world. He can still do appearances, show up when
Tim Roth is a great actor.
He is.
Love the
Keep him
redesign.
in the MCU.
Love the
It's very
redesign.
comic accurate.
Absolutely.
Fishy looking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like little gill ear things.
Anything else on the show?
Just last thought on Abomination. He's a lot more complicated with being the Tim Roth, this life coach. He's in this space, this head space thing. Abomination in the comics is just a force of nature.
Yeah.
He's the opposite of Hulk smash, but he's just a dumbass. So this is really interesting. This is a really interesting take on Abomination.
Yeah. And Emil Blonsky in the MCU was never a dumbass.
No, not at all.
He was a top tier, kind of British military guy, but never a dumbass.
No, so and I'm glad they now have the option to use him again.
Yeah, I do think we'll see him in the
hope so.
I really do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if Red Hulk happens to be part of the plot.
Which is a big rumor.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that rumor?
Yeah, let's go into that before we go into anything else. Rumor, and it's getting corroborated by a lot of sources, is that because of William Hurt's death, we have to replace Thunderbolt Ross, which is what you should do when an actor dies, by the way. They're going to replace him with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And if they're doing that, then there's a future here, and I think that would be Red Hulk, and I think he might be the antagonist for the Thunderbolts. I think they might put the Thunderbolts together to deal with the threat of Red Hulk.
Yeah, because Hulks are a major threat level, especially ones that, I would assume he wouldn't be intelligent, but I don't know. They might go a different angle with it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's what makes them a threat is when they're just blunt instruments of destruction.
Yeah, so.
And God, can you imagine Thunderbolt Ross? Even if he maintains a little bit of
who
he's an asshole.
Well, the thing about Red Hulk was that he had Thunderbolt's brain. He was not dumb. He was cunning, and that's why he was dangerous.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows?
Brutal, cunning. I mean, Thunderbolt Ross is like I said, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's a cunning asshole. And in this world, he's worked himself to Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a big place to fall from.
It'll be interesting what happens, how they go about converting him to Red Hulk.
Yeah.
If that's what they do. But it seems it's leading that way.
Hurt versus Ford, that's such a drastic. I mean, that's like Iron Man 1 and 2. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's quite that bad.
It's pretty bad. I mean,
not a Don Cheadle fan.
I mean,
from a dude that looked like he was a military man to a dude that looked like he was a computer geek.
Well, they had to replace him if they're going to go forward with the storyline. I'm skeptic just because, for me, the last few years, Harrison Ford seems to have been phoning it in his acting roles. Maybe it's just nothing he's cared about. So, I hope I'm wrong.
You saw Indiana Jones 4, right?
Yes.
Would you have been all jazzed to be in that movie?
I mean, still, though, it's your job. I mean, even in the Star Wars movies,
he just scared to scream with Shia LaBeouf.
But I'm saying, that's where my worry.
Sorry,
that's where my worry comes from. Is that
look up
Shia
LaBeouf,
do
it? Just saying,
just do it. I don't know. I've gotten kind of the same way with Harrison Ford, especially when you see in interviews and how much he hates the Star Wars world. You're kind of like,
this shit made you, man.
Yeah. He actually said in one interview he thought he'd be a famous actor even if he hadn't been Han Solo.
No, he
wouldn't.
He
wouldn't. Because he wouldn't have been Indiana Jones because the same dude that did that did that.
Yeah.
You'd have never been.
Don't shit where you eat, man.
God, he'd have still been putting cabinets up in people's houses. I mean,
that's why Mark Hamill is always going to be greater than Harrison Ford because Mark Hamill relishes who he is and where he is in that fandom.
Yeah.
But he's got that husky voice.
He does.
I can see it working very well, transitioning from one to the other.
And that's my hope. I will always give actors the benefit of the doubt before I see them. My opinions don't matter. Ken's hatred for Toe-Face was prevalent, and that was a great movie. We all have those actors who don't. Footface, my apologies.
Oh, okay, that was a weird segue. I was
trying
to catch up.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. But so I'll wait to see how it goes. I hope I'm wrong. That's the best I can hope for.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to season finales. Josh,
stay on Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple Marvel rumors, and you want to jump around?
Let's do it.
Just saying.
Just be away, buddy.
Yeah. The Borat.
Oh.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Take it, Justin.
Not a fan, apparently.
This is one of those where we don't understand it or see it, and then maybe it's going to play out later. Example, Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. When I heard that, I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Now I can't unhear it.
Yeah.
Take it from there.
Sacha Baron Cohen is rumored to be one of 2 characters.
Right.
But we've heard this week he might be Dormammu, which makes no sense because we already have a Dormammu voice. We should stick to that. Or the other one is that he will be the bugaboo that's been over every Disney Plus show, Mephisto.
Bugaboo. My hope is that Disney just keeps teasing us with Mephisto is coming, and we never see him at all.
Until at the end of the Marvel Universe, Borat pops out and is like, it's me!
Or one of those I've been here the whole time things. Like there's one character in every like background scene from the beginning to the end.
It's a nice.
It's like maybe that dude on the bus during the Shang-Chi fight in the glasses who's been in the other movies.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. And Sacha Baron Cohen he can be a really good
He is
actor.
a good actor. The trial of the Chicago 7, he was outstanding in that.
I think it was 5.
It's Chicago 5. Anyway,
It's 5, 6, or 7.
Great movie. I can't look it up. I cannot remember the exact name of it, but he played
one of the activists who was on trial.
Yeah, the really famous activist that always wore the American flag shirts. He's the same guy that was in that scene in Forrest Gump where Jenny comes running through the waiting pool. Anyway, digress. So that's the rumor. Anything else in Marvel?
Yes. 2 things. One, you got something?
No, I was just going to say he's supposed to make his first appearance in the Ironheart movie, which also is a little confusing because you have a technological superhero apparently taking on a supernatural threat. So I don't know.
That's a good segue to Wakanda Forever because I think Wakanda Forever is going to change a lot of things. Just an assumption, of course, but I mean, Ironheart debuts in Wakanda Forever. We know that, and so we're going to have Mephisto or Dormammu appear in Ironheart. So it's like, what the fuck, y'all? This is a stretch here. There's a long way to go to get there. I mean. So
I think everyone's taking the synopsis they sent out wrong. Everyone in the synopsis, they said that this movie, Wakanda Forever, takes place a year after the death of T'Challa. And the whole media took that to mean we're jumping way forward in the future to a moment where T'Challa died. Beyond the snap, beyond the re-snap, everything that we've seen a year after that. I don't believe that's what they're saying. I believe they're saying it's a year after the snap.
Yeah.
I still believe 100% this takes place during the blip.
And that's very possible.
The whole media has taken it to believe we're jumping out to like
if it takes place during the blip, so what's going to happen then? If it's during the blip, there's that 5 years where Black Panther is gone. That's what you're thinking, that it takes place during there? Okay. That's interesting because then how are they going to deal with Chadwick Boseman in the future?
I believe they're going to recast him eventually.
So that you think they're kicking the can down the road. Interesting
100%.
theory. Yeah. I'd love to see this play out. So, and that's a good segue to Wakanda Forever because the cast from Wakanda Forever, they may be playing, Damage Control, but they said we have not guessed who the new Black Panther is. They say,
or that there might be 2.
So,
you still think Killmonger might be coming back as Black Panther?
That Justice Theory's Killmonger's coming back.
That's an incredibly popular actor, and he was a very popular character. A lot of people kind of were very sympathetic to his cause.
He was a sympathetic villain.
And that's the thing, they took the effort and they brought him back in What If. Why would they fucking bother to bring him back in What If? Not completely bought into that, but there's a merit here.
They took Everett Ross, who would have been, by any other doctor, paralyzed, and fixed him in a day.
Yeah.
There is no reason to believe that they couldn't have taken that nearly dead, stabbed through the chest man and worked their Wakandan magic on him and fixed him. He says, we can probably save you. And he says, no, bury me. That don't mean he listened.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's his family. You can see T'Challa saying, no, I'm going to try to save you.
Yeah.
And put him in cryo like they did with Bucky.
Winter Soldier. Yeah. So interesting. I think it's a good theory. I don't know how this movie's going to play out.
In a moment of
crisis. We're a month away from that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like we're a month away from Wakanda Forever.
November 10th. See how it plays out, though. In a moment of crisis, a year after he's dead, Shuri is not willing to take up the mantle. Someone in that organization believes we have to do something. We're being threatened by the Atlanteans or whatever they're going to call them. And they go take him out of cryo and bring him back. that causes Shuri to also take the path, and we have two that perhaps are at war at the end, setting up.
So they defeat Namor, and then at the end they fight each other. That's not bad. I mean, that's good. That falls into the Marvel formula. I'm just saying, it kind of does. I mean, for me, it's like Nakia could easily become a Black Panther as well, because this is obviously a female form in that last.
We've got several people that could be a Black Panther.
Kind of wanted to be Shuri just because I have like 2 copies of that comic book. And the value.
Kid's looking for value.
Just saying. So, I mean, that's a good segue to Marvel news. Let's talk about the delays.
Yeah.
This is either good or bad.
I believe it's good. We've seen.
Those are the only options.
No, sorry. I mean, this is either great for us because we're going to get better storytelling, or it's really bad because fucking shit is going bad.
We've seen delays in Marvel before. I think we forget them, but Civil War was pushed back by almost half a year. We've seen these delays before, and when we know what we know, that Mahershala Ali has been pretty vocal. He's not happy with Blade's script. We believe Blade is probably very central to the story going forward. So if they have to push Blade to rewrite a script, it makes sense that them other movies have to be pushed.
Yeah, I mean,
Deadpool 3 makes sense simply because I don't think they knew where they were going until they saw the success of where She-Hulk went. I think that probably had a lot to do with where they go. Plus, they just made this announcement with Wolverine. Who knows where that script goes? So I don't think it's a big deal that we're pushing everything out by 6 months each project?
6 months to 9 months, roughly.
Yeah.
And it does make sense because all of Marvel's stuff does tie together. During COVID, everything kept getting pushed back because you couldn't have some movies without something coming first, And, Black Widow is a perfect example. There was so much tied into that. They had to keep going on, pushing.
Maybe it's just so tumultuous, and they said, hold up, we've got real problems. Let's reset.
Yeah.
Or maybe Ollie's being a prima donna. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Man is Academy Award winner. If he says the script shite, they need to listen to it.
That's fair.
But the first step to understanding a problem is admitting that you have one. If the studio is like, we got to fix these, good. I'd much rather.
I think we all feel that Blade, it seems like he's going to have a fairly prominent role, at least in the Midnight Suns. And you can see the Midnight Suns and that magical element feeding into a Secret Wars storyline. So I think it all probably ties together.
With Werewolf by Night coming out, I mean, we've got the Monsterverse, the Darkverse, that we've got our foot in the door here.
Yeah.
So if we lose it for 6 months, I can take the hit just if they make
My
it
guess
better.
is they will fill it in with some kind of Disney Plus show that doesn't necessarily progress the storyline.
So, so everything's been pushed back in Marvel. We're not real worried about it, but it's just interesting. But it makes logical sense when you look at how Marvel does things.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all. Yeah. I'm more worried about the fact that they greenlit Love and Thunder.
Okay, at some point, you have to stop letting that take up rent-free space in your brain, buddy.
I can't.
Okay, that's fine. Do your thing, whatever.
Give me a doll. Where did Watiti hurt?
Yeah. Show me on the doll.
Show me on the doll where Watiti hurt you.
That's where Watiti hurt me.
Right the fuck here. She's just gonna sit here the rest of the show and judge me.
Okay. I think that's good on Marvel news.
All right, then we'll go to that other season finale we were talking about.
Yes.
Josh finally caught up this week with the Rings of Power on Amazon. So we've all watched the season finale, and I think we are all fairly giddy about what we've seen this season.
A golf clap?
Yeah. Best show right now that I've watched.
So good, man. I mean, just that moment toward the end where I don't want to jump ahead, but I
think you can. Spoilers all around.
Yeah, big spoilers. There were two things we wanted this season finale to tell us: who is the guy who landed in the asteroid, and who is Sauron. And we got both answers, and they're not the same.
No.
Right. There was a lot of people guessing, and they did a good job of trolling you at the beginning of this episode, making you think that the man who landed in the asteroid was Sauron. I love that moment where the three witches believe they're raising Sauron, and he gets that staff in his hand and like, it's not him, right? It's the other one.
Right.
We'll get to who the other one is in a bit.
Yeah.
But I think anyone who's been watching the show who kind of knows Lord of the Rings lore saw this coming. We certainly did, all along with his love for the halflings. It was fairly clear to me.
I think it would have been a more unbelievable turn for him to have been Sauron.
Yeah. Which did a good job, though. The first 10 minutes of it, you were kind of questioning yourself.
Yeah, I was like, okay, if this is what they're doing with.
Sauron. Right. These three bitches seem pretty confident.
So yeah, it'll be interesting what they're doing with it. But yes, that we now have confirmation that is Gandalf, and he sets off with Nori.
Yeah, follow your nose.
Gosh, man, that's gonna be in my top 10 moments of all time, of nerd moments. I kind of knew, but it kind of did.
So
if
you're
denial
not
about it.
A Tolkien nerd, you don't know what we're saying. With these subtle hints like that line right there, it was pretty much all but guaranteed that the man that landed in the asteroid is an early incarnation of Gandalf.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you are a fan of the original Peter Jackson movies, he says that to Mary. He says, when in doubt, follow your nose. And so when he said it in this show, that was for us.
Yes.
Yeah. That was for
100%.
me. It was for us.
And I thought it was very sweet that the rest of her clan or tribe
knew to send Nori with him.
Yeah, and because the entire time they'd been badgering her for stepping outside of their ways.
Yes.
And they finally, I think, accepted that it wasn't for her.
Whoever's in charge of the show understands hobbits.
Mhm.
Because hobbits they're special. Even though they're just a small people they don't have any powers.
They're capable of great things.
Capable is the great word for
Yeah.
this. They are something special, and this delivers on that as well.
And I love it because all along we were like, it's got to be Gandalf because he developed this fondness for the halflings well before he met Bilbo Baggins.
Right.
So I love that. Now let's turn to the other reveal.
Mm-hmm.
This one has us a little divided, I think.
Yes and no.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No one predicted it. I mean, I'm all over the internet every day. I saw all kinds of theories. No one predicted who Sauron was going to be, and I freaking love that.
Weren't even like hints about it. People just guessed.
No. It was all over the place. We thought all these different things, but the man who was constantly reticent to join the battle, Halbrand, was the genius Lord Sauron, planting the seed all along, knowing exactly who Galadriel was and how to play her. I loved it. It's a masterclass in misdirection.
Yeah, it really was. And the only hint I can even think that they showed us is that he was a blacksmith. That's the only thing
His brutality in that fight, when you go
that
back
was a
and
good,
think about
that was
how
a good one.
brutal he fought those four men, just dismantling them, crushing their face in the stone, and that was some brutality. I remember thinking, "Damn, who is this dude?" Because that was a brutal fight he just had.
We're talking about Sauron here, and I mean, he has got unfathomable power.
And we saw what he did with Galadriel. I mean, he trapped her in her brain.
Not until that moment. He showed no signs of being this powerful being.
To do what he had to do, he had to play dumb, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it was perfectly well done to get what he wanted, which was the first 3 Rings of Power forged by Celeborn.
Yeah, I think we will see him play his role further because only Galadriel right now knows who he is. I think it's possible.
Elrond figured it out by the end.
Elrond did figure it out. I think it's possible he uses the same kind of deception and misdirection to poison the minds of the dwarves and men.
Well, he has to. We've got a whole lot of rings.
We got some places to go here.
19 more rings.
Really cool at the end to see him kind of cresting the ridge in Mount Doom's, and he's
that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah. Really cool.
Because at that point, it was like a fully realized Mount Doom. Didn't have the fortifications and the castles, but that's what it looked like.
I don't feel like Amazon brings it all the time. I think a lot of their stuff is kind of CBS vanilla, but when they bring it, Amazon brings it.
So let's give them credit for this one.
Yeah.
I think they have delivered on this because they had big shoes to fucking fill.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
this was, and they did it, y'all. I mean, this is so good.
Yeah,
So
with
good.
originality and fan service kind of merged together very well.
And they gave them the budget. They didn't cheap on it. I mean, it's one of the most expensive per episode
I think it
series.
is the most expensive television show in the history of Hollywood.
But
and take that as a lesson, studios all around. You have the right butts in the right seat, you can fucking do this.
Yeah.
Like, gosh.
And we know Amazon's got the money.
yes.
Thank you, Amazon, for taking this chance.
Yes.
But,
Nerds of the world salute our Amazon overlords.
eventually, they're just going to own everything.
That takes weight. There's weight to what you just said. Amazon's in this room right now listening.
Literally. What's up, Alexa?
She lit up like, what, bitch?
What, bitch?
Bezos is listening.
Terrified. Oh.
Anyway, looking forward to season 2, which they have already begun shooting, so it's closer than we believe. So excited about that. It's one of the better TV shows out there right now. Josh is not caught up on Game of Thrones, so we won't get too deep into that. Just to say this last episode was good. It's not Game of Thrones. I don't think it will ever grab me like Game of Thrones did. It just doesn't have the weight. Unless it somehow starts to bring in and tie into the Song of Ice and Fire. But I don't see how that's possible because all of that happened way back when with the children and the
what was it, 200 years before?
Yeah, this is only 200 years, so I really don't see. A lot of people are saying that Daemon will be the Night King. Night King already exists. Night King's existed for a long time. There's no way Daemon's the Night King, and if they do, they ruin some of the magic.
They mess up their own mythology.
They mess up their own mythology. So I really hope they don't do that. Right now, this is what's the show I've been saying?
Succession.
It's Succession with dragons. It's just a family drama. It played out, and that's what it is, and that's what it needs to stay, unfortunately. And
I've enjoyed it. This was my favorite episode so far, but that's just me. I
enjoyed it, but not like I enjoyed Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. There was just so much weight to Game of Thrones. There was always this White Walker threat. And that's why the best episode of the last season was the Battle of...
In this world, that's still an imaginary threat. You know, and in Game of Thrones, that's a real threat.
Also,
so I get that. I get that entirely. But just the storytelling itself and the character development and I'm not going to ruin it because Josh hasn't seen it. But
don't worry. I'll watch it eventually.
Just the touching moment where the king walked in and like changed the flavor in the room. I mean, it was... I don't know. I enjoyed the fucking hell out of it. I just did. But to Justin's point, this still ain't as good as what we've gotten. It's just not. Even Hamlet. Even in the effects, it's not as good. It's not. No,
it's not. There are times where the CGI pulls me out. Yeah. And I don't bitch about CGI very much. Like, for instance, I really didn't see the problem with She-Hulk. A lot of people complain constantly about this. I didn't see it. I saw it with the dragons flying. I see it in the show. That's good.
That's a good point because something. And if anybody doesn't know, I got a degree in digital art, and all of my professors preached lighting. Lighting is key to make something look real, and the lighting is a problem in this show. The lighting is a problem.
A lot of it happens in daytime.
It does not look right. It's not the caliber as the Game of Thrones we have.
Agreed.
It's not. Still good.
But it's still
glad
good.
it's there. I'm still happy that I can.
I think I'll watch it. I don't think I'm going to stop.
I'm just so happy I can go to Westeros and Middle Earth
plus,
anytime right now.
Now that these two shows we just talked about have ended, it's the only thing I'm watching. Well, there's Andor, and we need to catch up on that. We can't talk about that this week because none of us are caught up.
I'm caught up.
Oh, well, we aren't caught up.
Yeah, I'm caught up. I think it's fucking.
I'm hearing Andor is great.
It's quality.
It's behind.
So it's just a quality show. It's like everything else Star Wars. This one's like up here when it comes to storytelling and just.
Which is good because, in my opinion, Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie.
Well, yes. This sets the freaking stage for that in a fabulous way. So
we'll give that a better review once we're caught up next week. What else were we going to talk about?
Is there any more Star Wars stuff we got to get to?
New Star Wars,
Marvel,
possible Alita 2 coming out.
Oh, please.
Yeah,
I love Alita so much.
Such an underrated movie.
Battle of
The
Angel
fact
Alita.
that it's James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez tells me there's a good chance they can throw a pitch together and make that happen. James Cameron has a lot of power.
Oh, God,
he's up there with Rock when he says things. In fact, there was an article written recently where he talked about going up against the studio with Avatar for some of his decisions, and he just was like, "Nah, y'all are. You see all this where y'all are at? This is me. This is because I made Titanic. So you're gonna do what I say."
Yeah, he got that big swing.
He's got that big swinging dick, and so if he comes back in Robert Rodriguez for Alita, I think Disney might just listen.
I wish they would, because I was a fan of the anime in the 90s, and they did such a great job.
How many times can we say that anime has been done well in a live-action adaptation?
Not very many.
Not many.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is maybe better than the anime, and I know I say that as someone who
I'll give you
really
that.
dig anime, but
No.
it was a fantastic movie. Both
You had me at Christoph
actors.
Waltz.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Two-time Oscar winner.
Right.
The chick that played Alita was brilliant.
Oh, she was so good.
Mahershala Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And then at the end, they bring in Ed Norton.
Just random. But yeah,
Please, God, Disney, do the right thing. You got Disney Plus. Put it on there.
Yeah.
Right? No shit.
Just the series. Why not? Whatever.
That movie has got to have killed
the shit out of
in the
that.
aftermarket. It may not have won tons of money in the theaters, but in the after, like
Every time I show it to someone, we end the movie and they're like, "Oh, why did I not hear this movie?" I've never showed it to anyone who was like, "That sucked."
Right? No, it's just
It's
good.
fantastic. It's great. Yeah. It's great. So awesome. Yeah. Alita #2, we need. So,
Listen up, Disney.
Yeah.
Spawn and Super Mario trailer. That's all.
Okay. Spawn has been confirmed that it is moving forward with the writers for the Joker, I believe.
Yeah.
And it will be starring. And I think this is interesting because I read it in 4 or 5 different places. They say Jamie Foxx is attached as the protagonist. No one has ever said, I don't know if you've noticed this, no one has said Jamie Foxx is Spawn.
I haven't read
Every single press release has said Jamie Foxx is signed on as the protagonist. And if you go back and see some of the things that McFarlane has said, he said this will be a dark horror type film. What if Spawn is the villain?
We might, yeah. I mean, that would be an interesting take on it.
He's going to change Spawn's origin story?
He said it was going to be very different than anything we'd ever seen with Spawn.
Okay.
I'm kind of okay with that because I know the Spawn story.
Right.
So, I mean, I've seen it before. So, if you're
I
going to
just
change
thought
it,
it was weird because any other time they would have been like, Jamie Foxx is going to be Spawn.
Yeah.
But every press release said Jamie Foxx is signed on as attached as the protagonist.
Yeah, and language is very specific in those kind of things.
Yes.
So that they're using that term and not a character name
Means
kind of
something
says
to
something.
me.
Yeah.
well, they've got an Oscar-winning writer now. They've got an Oscar winner
Winning
as
actor.
Jamie Foxx. Yeah. And McFarlane is at the top of his game right now. I mean, that dude is killing it in the toy
In the
market.
toy market.
He is freaking killing it. So, I mean,
We'll see.
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it.
The last thing, Super Mario Brothers got a trailer, and it is incredibly divisive. And I really have to say to anyone who is complaining that it's not the original voice actor and the original voice, come on. It's 2022. If you really thought they were going to come out, there were 2 choices. Either come out with "It's me, Mario" and get canceled like a motherfucker.
It's an Italian stereotype.
You cannot
Hardcore.
do that. It's 2022. So I have no problem with Chris Pratt being Chris Pratt and just taking it.
Dude, we got Chris Pratt as Mario.
Yeah.
No, come on.
And Jack Black as King Koopa.
Oh,
What the hell,
You
man?
know he's gonna just chew the scenery in that movie.
So, again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Hulk douchebags. You need to grow.
Right.
We actually have 2 more things.
Why
we need to
can't
talk
people
about.
enjoy things? That's my question.
Yes.
It just looks fun. Like, why are you taking it
Right.
seriously? It's a Mario movie.
And clearly it's a what do you call it? A beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why is he acting like he doesn't know what the Mushroom
Well, he
Kingdom
just
is?
got down there.
Because
Apparently.
this is the beginning of the story.
It's our origin story for Mario.
Let's not forget the only time we've ever had a Mario movie
Oh God!
If you haven't seen it, youngins,
Go
back and
watch
watch it.
Youngins.
It's terrible.
It's hot, boys.
Youngins.
Yeah, it's god awful, but I mean, it's just so fun now to watch Bob Hoskins and John
Leguizamo and
as
the tiny
Mario,
kid.
Mario, and Luigi Mario. By the way, Mario's last name in that movie is Mario.
Mario.
He's Mario Mario.
Oh,
God.
So you had some more stuff.
Yeah, we've got two other things we need to talk about real quick. They just finished
Yes.
filming on The Crow. They wrapped up production on that, which I'm excited about because it's been supposedly being made for like 10 years, and they finally finished it.
Rest in peace, Bill Skarsgård.
Don't do that. The Crow is one of my favorite.
You a borrowed time, buddy.
Yes. Crow is coming for you. One of my favorite movies from back in the day.
If Alec Baldwin is on your film,
Jesus. What? Wow. All right. God.
Things are cyclical in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, Bill Skarsgård is playing the Crow. He's a wonderful actor, and I'm looking.
This is the guy who played it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and the other thing, we lost two great actors this last week. Unfortunately, we lost Angela Lansbury and do you remember the name of the guy that played
Coltrane. Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane. Unfortunately, yeah, they played Hagrid in the Harry Potter.
So we lost
movies.
Hagrid and Mrs. Potts.
We did, and it's a sad day.
Or bed knobs and broomsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Go back.
But yes, that's a
Dirty
Disney
back.
throwback. But yeah, so we just want to say, best of luck to their families in this time, and it's a sad day when nerd actors depart this world.
Right. So, moment of silence.
Here's to Hagrid.
But they will live on in our hearts and in our films.
Yep. So, on that dark note, it is always a good time to be a nerd at this point. So get out there and do something nerdy and come talk to us about it on CNA. We'll talk to you next week. Excelsior.